The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
Is that you, my Lord Elijah?
Yes, go tell your master Elijah is here.
What have I done to deserve this? Why are you trying to deliver me into the hand of King Ahab to kill me? As surely as the Lord your God lives, there is no nation or kingdom where my master has not sent someone to hunt for you. And when they said, he is not here, he took an oath from that kingdom or nation that they could not find you. And now you say to me, go tell your master Elijah is here? And I have a strong feeling that as soon as I leave, the Spirit will tell you to go somewhere else. And then when Ahab can't find you, he's going to get angry and kill me. But I have feared the Lord from my youth. Didn't you hear? Didn't you hear what I did when Jezebel killed the prophets of God? How I hid 100 men of the Lord's prophets, 50 to a cave, and fed them bread and water? And now you tell me, go and tell my master that Elijah is here? He will kill me.
As the Lord Almighty lives, whom I serve, I will surely present myself to Ahab today.
Okay.
Time after time after time, we see God's amazing power showing us all why He is truly the one true living God. This week we are focusing on 1 Kings chapter 18 and seeing the showdown between the prophet Elijah and the prophets of Baal. As always, be blessed and enjoy. So, welcome back to another episode of a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Hopefully, everyone enjoyed their Easter celebrations last week. You know what's interesting? Like, I know we talked about the Passover in our last episode, right? But do you know, like, that's actually one of the oldest holidays in the world?
Oh, that would make sense. That would make sense because a lot of the holidays that we have either is because of a heroic figure or because of Catholicism.
Yeah, but Passover is actually the oldest continuously celebrated holiday year after year in the world. It started, as we know, way back in Exodus for the Exodus story. It's about...
Oh, I get what you're saying now. I get
Yeah.
what you're saying. Yeah. I was thinking Passover as in the death of Jesus.
No, but like the actual Passover as the original thing. I mean, because we know Jesus' death, the crucifixion happened during Passover time and got hijacked by a bunny who lays eggs. But that's the story for a different day.
Yeah, that's an interesting bunny right there.
But Passover is actually the oldest like holiday outside of New Year's. But it's actually because New Year's doesn't really, I mean, it celebrates something, but it's like Passover's actually the oldest holiday. It's pretty interesting. It's pretty interesting.
Yeah, but Passover would predate New Year because New Year only
Come
relevant
around.
because of this new calendar.
Exactly.
Which come way after Passover.
That's an interesting fun fact that ties back into last week's episode. But this week we are back in the 1 Kings.
Yep.
Talking back about the prophet Elijah. But yeah, man.
Tishbite.
The Tishbite. But outside of that, before we get started, I guess housekeeping items. If you enjoy our content, definitely hit that like button on YouTube. Definitely share it with a friend if you can. That'd be amazing. Yeah, and if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe because
Please
not
do.
everyone who watches our content is subscribed. So if you can hit the subscribe button right now, that'd be great and greatly appreciated.
Amen.
But yeah, how's your week been? How are things been going with you? You guys have been doing a lot of traveling.
A lot of traveling. And I am glad that we are back. Only because it's hard to get into a rhythm. It takes a lot of self-control. When you traveling, bro, and you can't sleep on time, and you can't cook like that. You know what I mean? When you can't eat when you want to eat. You know, you can't move when you got to move. Because even when we were in Baltimore, like, we were Ubering everywhere. You know, it's rainy, stuff like that. And so I ended up going to the grocery store. It was interesting, bro, because like we was in downtown Baltimore, and the grocery store, it was different, bro. You know, like how, you know, you go to a Publix, you know, parking lot, and then you go in the store. This was like,
I was thinking those buildings.
Yeah, in the building.
The building looked like a grocery store. Yeah, they always be so weird to me.
It's so interesting. Like, you think you're going through a regular
office building,
right?
almost.
Like a Subway is next to this type of situation. So you think the room is as small as the other businesses, but you go in there, they got a big, deep grocery store in the back there. But anyway, I saying that because we had to, you know, kind of buy food to prepare for Sabbath, because we would have been spending Sabbath in there, and I didn't want, you know. Anyway, you understand what I'm trying to say. But how was your week, bro?
My week's going good, man. It's going good. It's been pretty busy lately, but you know, can't complain. It's been pretty busy, but God is good. God is good. One of the things I'm like, you know, starting to pray for more. And you hear older people pray for this often, but it's like just strength. It's like sometimes you just get so beat up from the week and just get so tired. You're like, Lord, give me strength. I mean, simple as that, but like definitely praying for like more strength and endurance with how busy work and everything else is right now. So yeah, that's a prayer. That's a prayer.
I got you, bro.
Also, hopefully people's prayer journals are going good. You know, writing down your prayer requests and seeing how the Lord works through you and works through others to not only bless your life, but also bless the lives of others. It's definitely powerful. It's good to see how God works. Definitely good to see how God works. And it's also interesting to see how things play out in hindsight better than you ever could have expected. And it's like and just seeing how God also used you when you didn't even anticipate being used, but seeing how God used you to actually enrich the life of some other person in a way you never even expected. So I had that cool experience this week, and I was like, wow, if this never happened, if I never said this and this person never did that, none of these things right now would have been happening. It might happen in a different way, because, you know, God's word is going to return fruitful no matter what. It doesn't return void, but it's like interesting to see how God places you in a predicament to help enrich the life of someone else, and you don't even know. And I guess that brings me to another point that is like, it's always good to live your life Christ-like, because you are a walking, living, breathing testimony. Even on your bad days, you are still a walking, breathing testimony, and people do look and wonder where's your source of your joy. You know what I'm saying? And it's something for us to keep in mind. I'm not a perfect example of this, but I always try to be like a happy person. Even when I'm not happy, you know, I still try to have that joy, because I mean, God has been great to me, you know what I'm saying? And if I can look back at my life and look at where God has brought me from and brought me to, and the many ups and downs he's brought me through, I can still have that joy, because I know whatever I'm going through right now, even if it's not good or bad, I know that God's also going to bring me through this. But yeah, man, it's just like how you live your life. People watch you. And especially when you say you're a Christian, a lot more people watch you more than you even would think they're watching you. And it's interesting. So yeah, man, just always gotta live right. Like, always be an example for God. And you never know how God is even using you to bless others or bring others closer to him in a way that you don't even think you're doing. Like, sometimes a simple conversation, you could be testifying and prophesying to someone. You're not meaning to do it. You don't even think you're doing it, because you might literally be having a regular conversation with nothing to do about God, like the book of Esther almost. But you can still bless others in so many ways. So the reason why I said Esther is because, like, God himself never really like talks in that chapter or anything like that.
Right.
In that book.
It's really a narrative about Esther and that kingdom, for real.
But yeah, man, I guess that was my brief conversation that didn't expect it to go that far.
That's always good, bro.
Yeah, man. So we are in 1 Kings chapter 18. And the last time we had a regular podcast episode, which is so funny because I feel like we haven't talked about kings in almost a month.
Yeah, for
But
real.
to the listeners, it's been about just 2 weeks.
I've been trying to linger around the Book of Kings, bro. Like, I can't get too deep in Second Kings because I'm like, I want to be fresh in my mind. First Kings. So I've been reading these chapters over and over and over. Man, but repetition deepens the impression for sure.
Exactly. So last time we were in Kings, we were introduced to Elisha, the prophet Elijah. And we see new on the scene, man issues, tells King Ahab and by extension Queen Jezebel, hey, we're gonna have a flood.
Famine.
Opposite of a flood.
Right.
Quite opposite of a flood.
Right.
Another natural disaster, but not the one we're talking about right now. We're gonna have a famine. And he said it isn't gonna rain or anything for about like 3 years, or until God gives the word. And then he like leaves the country, essentially. Then we see him
Leaves the country.
That's just what he did.
I don't know. He went to the wilderness. Oh, he did leave the country.
He left the country.
You're right. Because
he had to go get fed by ravens.
Yeah. No. I know. See, the ravens, I'm wondering if he left the country then, right? Because he was in the wilderness. But he had to go see the widow.
Exactly. Who's definitely in a different...
Definitely in a different country. All right, now we understand, bitch. It's been a while, bro. It's been a month.
Definitely in a different country, right? And so, yeah, he was getting fed by ravens and stuff. And then God told him, hey, now it's time for you to go to this widow. I've already, like, essentially talked to her and told her you're coming. And that in itself was, like, a miracle in itself because we realized that the widow was getting ready to prepare her last meal and die. Her and her son starved to death because it was a famine in all the land. And they were preparing to die. But Elijah said, you know what? Before you like reserve yourself to death, make me a cake and bring me some. Did he ask for water too? Can't remember.
Yeah, he asked for water first, and then he's like, bring me some cakes.
And cake, and she was like, "This is my last blood, it's my last." So he said, "Don't worry, like make me a cake first, and you go back, and you'll be sustained." Surely enough, she made the cake for Elijah, and then her oil and her flour never ran out. And that's the crazy miracle in itself. But then we also saw her son died. And she was like, bro, are you cursed me? Like, I come here and I feed you, and now my son still dies. Like, he was going to die either way of hunger, but now he actually got food and he still died. Elijah had enough faith to bring this man back to life. And check out the episode from 2 weeks ago. Definitely read the account in 1 Kings 17 yourself for a recap of last week's episode. But that brings us to this week.
Sometimes I find myself thinking the way the disciples thought when they came across the demon possessed little boy who or was it was I think it was like a paralyzed young man also, and Jesus healed him, and they asked whose sin caused him to be like that, or maybe he was blind. I can't remember. I just remember Jesus had healed him, and Jesus said, no one sinned, but so that my glory, or maybe the Father's glory, can be made visible, I guess. And I think about that because the widow, when her son died, she accused Elijah of reminding her of her sin, as in the death of my son is a repayment to me for the bad things that I've done in the past, or maybe specific sins. We know she's from Zarephath, so maybe she, may have been an idol worshiper, or maybe have done stuff in regards to that. I'm only speculating. But, sometimes we don't get that resolve. And, I'm just thinking about, like, sometimes I find myself thinking about life, bro, thinking about the health of others, especially when it's something that's completely left field. And it's like, bro, what's the meaning? You know what I'm saying? Is this person going through this because is this a punishment? You know what I'm saying? Is this a curse passed down from generations? What is, is it for your glory? And sometimes I don't get an answer, but, that just even thinking about the widow's son dying and her response to that, that led me down a little rabbit hole of thinking stuff.
I mean, it's good to bring it up because it's thoughts that everyone have, bro. Everyone has. Like, if you have a loved one who gets sick. God, is this fair? I mean, because it's crazy, right? Because the question could also be asked, we probably all ask this question probably at some point, like, yeah, you said this person was going through this so your glory could be revealed, but does that make this person suffering all these years fair? And this is in our human context. I'm not questioning the judgment of God in any way, shape, or form. I'm just saying it's like it's we all have these thoughts because a loved one died. And like, bro, this person was so good. How did this happen to good people? But God knows why we are all given whatever's on our plate. Like, man, we know we watch this show from time to time, right? And they had a line in there where Little John, one of Jesus' disciples, they have him having like a limp.
Oh yeah,
in the show, right? And this time when they were reenacting in this show was when Jesus told the disciples to go out and you guys will heal and prophesy in my name. And he felt some type of way because you're saying I must heal, but I'm still not healed. But the line I liked in that show was like, but just imagine how much more powerful your testimony is going to be. Because even though you're not healed, people can still look at you and say, you still have enough faith to trust in me, even when you're not fully healed.
Right.
And you're still going to be healing them. And I just look at that too and like, yo, God knows what he's doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, it also goes back to the point that no one in life is perfect. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
We all have sins, man. We have a Bible podcast and we still have sins. You know what I'm saying? Your preacher you go to listen to every week, no matter how much holier than thou you think your preacher is, they still have sins because we're all human beings and we all
have sinned.
We all have sinned. We all have sinned. Like, and yeah, we all have sinned. I don't even want to belabor that point.
Yeah.
Beat a dead horse as our friend Dawn would do.
Yeah, no. I got you though. I got you. Well, without further ado, 1 Kings chapter 18.
All right. And it came to pass after many days that the word of the Lord came to Elijah in the 3rd year, saying, go present yourself to Ahab, and I will send rain on the earth. So Elijah went to present himself to Ahab, and there was a severe famine in Samaria. And then Ahab called Obadiah, who was in charge of the house. And now Obadiah feared the Lord greatly, for it was so while Jezebel was massacred.
While she
massacred the prophets of the Lord, Obadiah had taken 100 prophets and hidden them, 50 to a cave, and fed them with bread and water.
That's a lot of bread and water to be sneaking every day or
for like 3 years, boy.
How you hide them?
How you feed them?
But no, that's all right. Like, let's say you have the resources to bake all that, right? That's not what's the word? Conspicuous, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like you gotta pull scene, 50 men you gotta feed.
100
men, 50 to a cave.
You know what I'm saying? 100 men. Like, do you saddle up the donkeys?
How
Like,
you doing that? Nobody's seeing that, bro. Where you
he had the
carrying all
ravens
this
helping
food?
him.
What
I want to know is this the same Obadiah that write the book?
That's a good question. No, that's a very good question. Now, this shows my lack of knowledge of the book of Obadiah. You know what I mean? But, that would make a lot of sense, obviously because you see people getting certain cameos.
Because Obadiah is one of the books in the Bible that only has one chapter. I can't remember exactly what's in the book of Obadiah right off of my head. I just know it's one of the shortest books in the Bible.
I can't, but Obadiah is a blur to me, bro. I can't tell you nothing.
But I don't know if this is the guy. I should have probably researched this before, but it's interesting because you also see like this guy, because Obadiah means like one who serves Yahweh. So his name still fits. And he was a minor prophet in the book. And we see in this account in 1 Kings, what is he doing? He is saving the lives of 100 prophets. So that's pretty epic. And we kind of see the type of woman Jezebel is, because what is Jezebel doing? She is clearly laying waste to all the religious men who actually follow the one true God in the northern kingdom.
During the famine?
During the famine.
Well, she might have done it before, but during the famine still.
Like, that's just wild. And then also we see now too, I guess, like going back to just verse 1, we see now that God, who told Elisha to go away, is now telling Elisha, no, it's time for you to go.
Come back.
Go to King Ahab. It's like reminiscent of when God told Moses, no, it's time for you to go back to Egypt.
Yes,
like,
it is.
You had your time with me already. You whatever we had to go through, but now it's time for you to go deliver my message.
Speaking of Egypt, bro, this is something I told you about, we spoke about, I should say, that I realized after the episode, bro. Baal, if you Google this guy, this god, he is the god of the sky, the god of like
Rain,
right? And storm and stuff like that, bro. How poetic is it? Similar to the plagues of Egypt that God brings.
Hold the point.
Oh yeah,
because we can be talking about that in this episode.
We can get to that.
Hold your point.
Just remember, is some really good parallels between this and Egypt.
and so now, I went down too far. Okay, bing.
Verse 4.
So 4 was, so when Jezebel massacred the prophets of the Lord, and Obadiah had taken 100 prophets and hidden them, 50 to a cave, and he fed them with bread and water. And Ahab had said to Obadiah, go into the land to all the springs of water and to all the brooks. Perhaps we may find grass to keep the horses and mules alive, so that we may not have to kill any livestock. So again, just for context now, he's saying, again, there's been a famine in the land. Everything requires some type of food. And what does cattle and livestock eat? They eat grass. It ain't raining in 3 years. You know what's going to die? The grass. But now they're saying, so Ahab is saying, go to all the waterways and body of water that we have around here, and let's see if we could find some grass somewhere that's close by the water source, so it should probably still be alive, that we could feed our animals. Because if not, we're going to have to kill them because they going to die of starvation either way. So I guess he's trying to provide a humane death to his animals.
But yo, how, that's how you know God is a provider, bro, because how during a famine, you feeding 50 extra mouths, bro, and people can't even eat, bro. How you can't hide that in a famine, you know what I mean?
God keeps
100 extra mouths, I'm sorry. I keep thinking of how much to a cave.
Yeah.
But 100 extra mouths, bro? And you drink, and they got a drink too? I don't know.
So they divided the land between them to explore it. Ahab went one way by himself, and Obadiah went another way by himself. Now, as Obadiah was on his way, suddenly Elisha met him, and he recognized him, and he fell on his face and said, is that you, my Lord Elisha? Ja? And he answered him, it is I. Go and tell your master Elijah is here. And so Elijah said, and so he said, Obadiah, have I sinned that you are delivering your servant into the hand of Ahab to kill me? As the Lord your God lives, there is no nation or kingdom where my master has not sent someone to hunt for you. And when they said, he is not here, he took an oath from the kingdom or nation that they could not find you. And now you say, go tell your master Elijah is here. It shall come to pass as soon as I am gone from you, and it shall come to pass as soon as I'm gone from you, the Spirit of the Lord will carry you to a place I do not know. So when I go and tell Ahab and he cannot find you, he will kill me. But I, your servant, have fed the Lord from my youth. Was it not reported to my Lord what I did when Jezebel killed the prophets of the Lord? How I hid 100 men of the Lord's prophets, 50 to a cave, and fed them with bread and water? And now you say, go tell your master Elijah is here. He will kill me.
So he ain't last long with this hiding these people.
No, I think he's saying like, I've been doing so good so long, and now if I tell Ahab, Elijah here, Ahab come here, you ain't here, he could kill me. But I done survived feeding 100 men for 3 years now, and I ain't get killed yet. So now you telling me I must go say you here, and he said the Spirit of the Lord can carry you away before I come back. And so he trying to plead this case now, like, yeah, you want me to say this, right? But you ain't heard the good things I done been doing. Why you want me mess this up? I on your side, but you making me into enemy now.
Yeah. So, okay. So he said, was it not reported to my Lord, right?
He trying to say, was it not reported to you?
Elijah. Okay.
Yeah,
gotcha,
Elijah. You see, we greet Elijah like, oh, my Lord.
My Lord. Yeah.
My Lord Elijah, is that you?
Right. Because when I was listening to this, because when it say, was it not reported to my Lord, I take it as him saying his king type thing. No, I get everything you're saying though. I get everything you're saying. He's saying, bro, he was hard up to kill anybody who he thought was hiding Elijah before.
Man, that show how determined Ahab was to find Elijah. But he making the other nations, bro.
Oh, yeah.
And other kingdoms. All right. Bring me Elijah. Oh, he ain't here? No, y'all swear to me he ain't here. Because if not, it's going to be a problem.
See, but Elijah would have to be public enemy number one because Elijah was the one who proclaimed the news of the famine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was the one that announced, oh yeah, no, it could be a famine now, you feel me? And since it has been a famine, they're like, oh, we got to kill him. And since we can't find him, we killing every prophet we could find, bro. Oh, man.
That's wild.
But Obadiah scared, and he like, but you trying to sign my death notice?
Like, I haven't been doing so much good.
Come on, bro. You can't stop me now, bro. If I go and tell him I see you on the off chance that you do not appear, I can look bad on me. So
now verse 15. Then Elisha said, as the Lord of hosts lives, before whom I stand, I will surely present myself to him today. So Obadiah went and meet Ahab and told him, and Ahab went and meet Elijah. And then it happened, when Ahab saw Elisha, that Ahab said to him, is that you, O troubler of Israel?
Boy.
And he answered, I have not troubled Israel, but you and your father's house have, in that you have forsaken the commandments of the Lord and have followed the Baals. Now therefore send and gather all Israel to me on Mount Carmel, and 450 prophets, and the 450 prophets of Baal, and the 450 prophets of Asherah, who eat at Jezebel's table. So now we see one, Ahab directly, instead of like blaming his sinful nature and what he's doing, like let's just take a step back and look what Ahab doing right now. Not only is he not following God, he is actively persecuting the people of God.
Yes.
His own country people. Wherever you see Obadiah is hiding the prophets, Obadiah can't even really make it openly known that he's a follower of God because Ahab would kill him.
Yes.
And so now he doing all these things. As soon as he see Elisha, he say, you are the trouble of Israel. You are the one who causing us to be in all this great disdain, not even realizing that, hey, if you would even stop just killing the people of God, God might ease up on this famine.
Yeah.
Better yet, you know what y'all really need to do? Get rid of y'all idols.
Get rid of idols.
Like,
turn from your idols.
Like y'all have the Torah. It's still here in this kingdom somewhere.
Yeah, y'all are not a pagan, despite the way you act. This is not a pagan nation.
Exactly. Like, just give up these idols easy in y'all own. Y'all worshiping Baal, where Baal come from?
Y'all have to adopt these things, bro. Like, y'all have to import these idols.
Like, wow.
But, yeah, so, that's how it's going to be when the mark of the beast come around. The mark of the beast, you have people who follow, the whole world chase after the beast, as they say in prophecy, right? And then, the dragon, was wroth with the seed, those who keep the commandments and had the testimony of Jesus Christ, right? These are the same ones who will be sealed with the seal of God as opposed to the mark of the beast. The beast and the whole system, they're going to look at all of those who want to keep the commandments and who have the seal of God as the troublemakers. They're going to look at us as if we the reason why these famines and earthquakes and all these things
it's
happen.
so true. And like, oh man, it kind of brings me to what we was talking about pre-pod, but I can say it in a different way, right? Man, as Christians, you got to realize that things that you stand up for, the world is going to go against. And if that ain't more obvious in the times we living in, I don't even know how much more obvious it could be. But there's even going to be even times when your Christian values are even going to be tested because we see the way the world is going. And as Christians, you can't be afraid to be different. And I think that's like, if we look at the Old Testament, the minute Israel didn't want to be different was when things went haywire for them. Because it's much easier to be the ones who are fitting in a world than the ones who are standing out.
Very true.
And that's literally Israel's problem. If we just yes, because in this case, they're fitting in by worshiping idols. But if you didn't fit in, you would have so much more blessings. But the thing is, fitting in is easier than standing out. Think about it. Israel have the one true God who performed miracles for them, who liberated them from Egypt. And you know what's funny? All these other nations knows Israel's history. Israel is the nation that has been liberated from Egypt. We know that to this day. Who even though people who ain't Christians, you know what I'm saying? You have the one true God doing all of this for you guys, but you guys want to give that up to fit in with all the nations that's surrounding you and worship their gods. To Kazi's point, you guys have to import these gods in. These ain't natural to y'all.
And they serious with that.
You have to go over there and say, oh, what is Dagon?
And how it work?
Hey, what is Baal? Okay, so I gotta set up the temple like this. Oh, so we gotta sacrifice our babies. So this what we gotta do?
So what's the rules? Like, walk me through everything you gotta do.
Like what? Like, man, but like as Christians in the day, so you have to realize that it's gonna be a rocky ride. Like I'm not gonna tell you it's gonna be all peaches and cream and no trouble will ever come your way, because as a Christian, you're gonna need to have these uncomfortable conversations. But at the end of the day, you have to decide: are you standing up for God? Or are you not standing up for God? That's something even I gotta ask myself on a daily basis, because there's gonna be instances where you are put in certain situations where either you're compromising your Christian values or you aren't, and you have to make a choice: am I going to stand up for God or am I not? And we see time after time again, Israel fails this task
willingly, like. For real. And it's funny because, bro, like even historically, if we look at Christianity as an organized religion, and we know the majority of the times the majority of the years of Christianity's as a religion, as an organized religion, majority of those years that it has existed, it was Catholic. For over 1,000 years, before the Protestant movement and stuff like that, it was just Catholic. It got to a point where if you, it's the reason why they call a period of time the Dark Ages is because this was a time when Bibles were not readily available, and you could also be killed for reading your Bible. It got to a point where if you did anything that was not accordance to their laws and doctrine at the time, which is the only Christian church, like the only mainstream Christian church at the time, you would be called a heretic, and you would be killed for not following.
Burned at the stake for not following this law. It was even times in history where you would be killed if you were found in possession of a Bible. That's wild.
So if you hear this and you believe this, you may now be thinking, how backwards is that? So the people who are actually following God and do what God is being called to do are being persecuted, while the people that are malpracticing are the ones in position, you know what I'm saying, and they are abusing their power. This is the same thing we're seeing with Elijah. This is the same thing we can see with the Pharisees, bro. Like, I'm trying to make a claim that the Bible has consistently been where the person that is making their own rules is so upset with the person that follows God's rules to the point where they want to kill them. You understand what I'm saying? Cain and Abel, case in point. Cain wanted to make his own sacrifice, bro, on my terms. God say, bro, do it right and I can accept it, bro. If you don't, sin is crouching at your door. He turn and look at Abel and say, boy,
I can kill you, boy.
I can kill you, boy, because now you making me look bad, bro, type of situation, you know? You're going to kill Abel, you know what I'm saying? We see many prophets get killed. We ain't even got to go through all of them. Jesus Christ, the Sanhedrin Council, bro, they come together and say, one man has to die, bro, to save many lives. One have to die. They're like, bro.
They was being poetic and they didn't even know.
They didn't even know what they were saying for real.
They was being evil.
They didn't even know. They was so evil till they bounced on the other side, bro. They helped the plan of salvation. You know what I mean? The plan of redemption. They were so evil to the point. It's like, you know, like how two negatives make a positive type of situation.
Joseph Lamb, what you guys meant for evil, God meant for good.
For good. The saving of many lives, bro.
Oh my.
And so yeah, that's what we seeing here with Elijah. Ahab and those, they've been intentional about undoing the things that God has done, or undoing the things that God said never to undo. Don't worship idols. Don't rebuild Jericho. They doing that and they killing the prophets. And yet, when God punishes them, they look at Elijah, the righteous one, for saying, oh, you the troublemaker. You the reason why this happening.
Exactly.
It's crazy.
So now in verse 20, so Ahab sent for all the children of Israel and gathered the prophets together on Mount Carmel. And Elijah came to all the people and said, how long will you falter between two opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is Baal, follow him. Man, anyway, I'm going to keep it going because we've been on a little tangent. But the people answered him not a word. Then Elijah said to the people, I alone left a prophet of the Lord. But Baal's prophets are 450 men. Therefore let them give us 2 bulls, and let them choose 1 bull for themselves, cut it in pieces, lay it on the wood, but put no fire under it. And I will prepare the other bull and lay it on the wood, but put no fire under it. Then you call on the name of your gods, and I will call on the name of the Lord. And the God who answers by fire, he is God.
I don't know how they let him get away with this. Picking these terms.
Of course.
They should have, if only, that's to show you they were really convinced that Baal was God, bro.
That should show you they don't read. But it just sounds like just when Moses gone back. God tell Moses, you go back and you do these signs.
Yeah.
This sounds so scripted.
Yeah. Like,
because obviously we know God told Elijah what to say and what to do.
Mm-hmm.
But Elijah was like, yeah, this is what we can do. Y'all can take any bull. Cut them up. But y'all can't put no fire under it by the fire coming from heaven.
Right, this y'all snakes, y'all throwing y'all rod on the ground, turning into snakes, versus Moses throwing his rod on the ground, turning into snakes. What happened? My snake eat your snake because I serve the real God.
Mm-hmm.
Y'all serve demons, playful demons, who make themselves as if they were God or some type of alternative God, you know? And that's the thing. I am not denying that the what's it called? The prophets of Baal have seen the supernatural, have seen spiritual things. Bro, we live in a spiritual world. We wrestle not against flesh and blood. You understand what I'm saying? We wrestle against principalities, powers, bro. All these things is spirits and forces, bro, good and evil, you know? So they probably didn't even know their force was just evil. Or they may have known, you know? And see, but God is not aggressive because God gives us our free will. You understand? So they probably thought they was on the winning team, but unwise of them.
Very.
Very unwise of them.
Very. And my thing is, especially really never bring down no fire before.
Real dog.
So y'all thought I was going to win this one.
Real dog, bro.
I'm trying to ask for something else so we know we can do.
That's what I'm saying, bro. They should have tried to rig it to their advantage, bro. Let's do something that we do every day.
But,
you know what I mean?
So now Elijah said to the prophets of Baal, choose 1 bull for yourselves and prepare it first. For you are many, and call on the name of your God, but put no fire under it. So they took the bull which was given to them, and they prepared it, and they called the name of Baal from morning till noon, saying, O Baal, hear us. But there was no voice. No one answered. Then they leaped about the altar which they had made. And it was so at noon, Elisha mocked them and said, Cry aloud, for he is a god. He must be meditating, or he is busy, or he is on a journey, or perhaps he is sleeping and must be awakened. So,
cry aloud, man. He can't hear you right now. He might be preoccupied.
So they cried aloud, and they cut themselves, as were their custom, with knives and lances, and this the God y'all choose.
Mercy.
Until the blood gushed out of them. And when midday was past, they prophesied until the time of the offering of the evening sacrifice. But there was no voice. No one answered them. No one paid attention.
Mercy.
Then Elisha said to all the people, Come near to me. So all the people came near to him, and he repaired the altar of the Lord that was broken down. Then Elijah took 12 stones according to the number of the tribes of the son of Jacob, to whom the word of the Lord had come, saying, Israel, Israel shall be your name. Then with the stones he built an altar. And in the name of the Lord he had made a trench around the altar large enough to hold 2 shears of seed. And he put the wood in the order, cut the bull into pieces, and laid it on the wood. And he said, Fill 4 water pots with water, and pour it on the burnt sacrifice on the wood. Then he said, Do it a second time. And they did it a second time. Then he said, Do it a third time.
Do it a third time.
And they did it a third time. So the water ran around the altar, and he also filled the trench with water. And it came to pass at the time of the evening sacrifice, Elijah the prophet came near and said, Lord, God of Abraham, Isaac, and Israel, let it be known this day that you are God in Israel, and I am your servant, and that I have done all these things at your word. Hear me, O Lord, hear me, that this people may know that you are the Lord God, and that you have turned their hearts back to you again. Then the fire of the Lord fell and consumed the burnt sacrifice, and the wood, and the stones, and the dust. And it licked up the water that was that was in the trench. Now when all the people saw it, they fell on their faces and they said, the Lord, he is God, and the Lord, he is God. Then Elijah said to them, seize the prophets of Baal. Do not let one of them escape. So they seized them, and Elisha brought them down to the brook Kishon. Haven't heard that brook in a while. And executed them there.
450?
All 450 of them.
So jokey, bro. How they let Elijah go on? How they go on first? When they're too confident, bro. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Elijah swing them hard.
For sure, bro.
That makes for a better story.
It does.
I know y'all can't do it.
And then God tell him to do this, bro. And it was on God time too.
And then, because my thing too, right? If Elijah do it first, y'all could just say, but Elijah probably low-key play a Baal or something. And then that's how come Baal already sent it down.
Yeah, no.
No, y'all go first.
Go first.
And y'all have all day. From morning till past evening. Just y'all.
Yeah, do your thing, bro.
Mock them. And then, how Elijah made sure was no tricks. Bro, I not only could call the fire down, but I'm going to douse the altar.
Yeah.
3 times.
Yeah, very
and
wet.
fill the trench around it with water. So y'all can't say it's a trick or no gimmick.
Nope.
When this fire come down, this fire is coming down.
Yes.
Consuming fire. That's just powerful too, man. Like, you see, I like Elijah.
Yeah, I like Elijah.
He reminds me of a modern day guy.
Yeah, no, because he ain't, I can say he ain't humble, right? But he's
got some spice
he's a
to him.
get off, man. No.
He got some spice to him. You see, he sprinkle a little jerk season on it. He got a little spice to him.
Yeah, he a little spicy for truth. Louder, man. He probably sleeping.
Meditating.
He on a journey.
Yeah, he get off on them.
Yeah.
And then that insult and drag. Yeah, I can wet up the altar. Probably God probably told him to do that too, right? But that's a little spicy.
No, but he was out loud. He was loud, bro. Like he wasn't hiding this. and then after that, they seize all them prophets. See, and I like that, because I always say that, bro. Like I share a similar sentiment, bro. Pick one, bro. Pick a side, bro. Like if you could be a Christian, bro. If you believe in the Bible and read it and study it. But if you do not believe in this book, find what you believe in. It's up to you. You don't have no reason to be complaining about Christianity all day. But if you do not think this is right, find what you think is right. You understand what I'm saying? Find it, bro. Because like what they say about the lukewarm church, bro, you could be spewed out. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, like, and
you might as well be cool.
You might as well be cool because you got the truth, but you joking with it type of situation, And Elijah was like, bro, let's pick one for real, bro. If we can serve God, we can serve God. If we can serve Baal, we can serve Baal. But let's test it. Let's test to see who the real God is. You know what I mean? And I find a lot of people to be like that. The parallel I was trying to make earlier about Egypt was that Baal is the god of water. You understand what I'm saying? It's the god of like the sky and stuff like that. The god of like weather, I should say. And so it was so interesting that some other god could come and say, hey, this weather thing shut down until I say so, right? That should have been a telltale sign that there is a being stronger than your so-called god of the weather. And y'all could Google Baal. I probably ain't explaining it as good, but he definitely is a god that they believe brings rain and stuff like that. Even when we used to watch little TV shows, cartoons as a child, I used to see people do their rain dance.
The rain dance.
They used to do their rain dance and they used to cause rain from the sky and things like that. And that's how a lot of cultures and a lot of people, especially during them time, they believe. You know what I mean? You cut yourself enough, you could summon the God who gonna change the nature. And so I find it to be so powerful and so much of a statement for God to say, yo, y'all giving this inanimate object credit for something that I am in full control over. The rain does not come or go unless I say so, right? And to prove that, I am going to tell you that because you worshiping this so-called rain God, y'all ain't getting no rain. And now you can put him to the test. I giving y'all 3 years. That's 3. That's my mommy. If she listening at the end, I using
she listening.
I using the right pronunciation. I'm gonna give you all 3 years to petition to this being, and just know that the enemy, the one who y'all trying to kill, The people who worship the Most High God is saying that I'm stopping the rain. And so who is the more powerful God? If you pray to your God so-called don't have no problem with you. I'm the one with the problem, the Most High God. He's the one with the problem with you all. And yet, you all being punished and there's no rescue for that. You know, I feel like you could tell that we wrestle against principality, because if this was a flesh and blood thing, you would be like, bro, it makes sense. I follow in the God that have results. If this God saying that, he could stop my God. That's the true God. You know what I mean?
Bang. And that's what I kind of like about it too, because we look at it, right? This story shows, even though, well, let's probably finish before I probably say this. We got this last bit left. So in verse 41, sorry for like switching thoughts.
Point though.
Yeah, hopefully. But then like, so in verse 41, then Elisha said to Ahab, go up, eat and drink, for there's the sound of abundance of rain. So Ahab went up to eat and drink, and Elisha went up to the top of Mount Carmel, and then he bowed down on the ground and put his face between his knees. And he said to his servant, go up now and look toward the sea. And when he went up to look up, and he said, there is nothing. And 7 times he said, go again. Then it came to pass on the 7th time that he said, there is a cloud as small as a man's hand rising out of the sea. And he said, go up and say to Ahab, prepare your chariot and go down before the rain stops you. Now it happened in the meantime, the sky became black with clouds and wind, and then there was heavy rain. So Ahab rode away and went to Jezreel. Then the hand of the Lord came upon Elisha, and he girded up his loins, and he ran ahead of Ahab to the entrance of Jezreel. So that's the end of 1 Kings 18. So it's interesting. So we see God, after he performed his act, also sent the rain. And to the point I was making earlier, it's almost like a tie back to Egypt too. And it's interesting how God works, man, because even when God says, okay, it's time for you guys to make a choice. You want to follow me or follow these idols. God always shows up and reveals his true power to give you a true marking. But also God also comes back and reveals himself to his children. Like, yeah, in Egypt, you guys weren't really worshiping me. You guys know you were different people, but you guys were worshiping the Egyptian gods. God showed up and say, let me reintroduce myself to you guys. I am God. I am your God, more specifically. I am the one true God. And God rescued his people. Now we see in 1 Kings to the northern kingdom, God saying, okay, y'all worshiping these idols. Let me reintroduce myself to you guys and give you guys the option again. I am God. Here's what I am capable of doing. Here's what you guys are doing, but here's what I'm capable of doing. You guys have an option. It's a free will society. I'm not forcing you guys to follow me. I would love for you guys to follow me, but I'm not going to force you guys. But you guys do have the option. But I just love how God never gives up on us. Like, God didn't have to do this. Bro, I didn't tell y'all this thousands of years ago.
And in the writing, bro, I mean...
And in writing, y'all know y'all doing
research,
wrong.
Bro. Yeah, and y'all know what y'all doing wrong.
Exactly. I already told, like, y'all have prophets, y'all have... Whatever, you could kill them, but the prophets still coming to you guys. The southern kingdom's still on there, and they getting blessed. I mean, they have their hardships too, but they still getting blessed. So, like, y'all don't need me to come do this, but because I love y'all, I want to give y'all a true example of what worshiping me truly is. You know what I'm saying? And so, I mean, because, bro, we guilty of that too. Like, we had the stories of God blessing our parents, our grandparents, and that kind of stuff, but it ain't me. You know what I'm saying? They could read the Exodus story, but that ain't, like, when was the last time God sent frogs? You know what I'm saying? When's the last time we see God show up in a pillar of fire in the day? Yeah. That ain't ever happened in my lifetime. That's probably just a story. And it's crazy to think that they thought of it as a story because this happened again, like probably like 1,000 years before their time. You know what I'm saying? And so it's just awesome that we serve a God that has no problem still showing up and showing out because he loves us. It is for his glory. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, like, I am better than these gods you guys are worshiping, but it's because I am not only better that I want you guys to worship me so you can have better. Because nothing's going to come from you guys worshiping Baal. Nothing's going to come from you guys worshiping Dagon, the Ashtoreth, the Shemoths. Nothing's going to come from that. But if you guys actually truly love and worship me, I have a plan to make you guys literally the best kingdom on earth. And that's the same promise we have today, man. Like, God wants to do so much for us, but are we following him? Are we willing to stand out? Are we willing to stand up for him? And if we do, God has a plan to bless us or use our lives and our story to impact others in a way that we can't even fathom. But it's up to us to make that choice to follow him.
the Lord instructed Elijah to return to Israel and put the prophets of Baal to the test. They both built altars and sacrificed oxen upon them, and whichever God responds by sending fire from heaven was to be declared the one true God. But the 450 prophets of Baal failed miserably, and afterward, they were all killed. But Elijah must still be on the run, because King Ahab and Jezebel want his life next. But we'll talk more about that on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.